whenever you're ready to get started, we can make this all happen. You set?
Okay, let's go for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, you got a record coming out. Congratulations on Redemption. It's coming out February 12th, as you know, on Frontiers. And I want to hear all about the record itself, how it came together.
The Nova Hawks is myself and Heather, the singer.
Yeah.
And we have known each other for quite a while. So I played bass for her before. We've got lots of mutual friends. We've done jam nights. We played at the gigs. Over 3 years, we kind of just accumulated ideas. So it was kind of a natural, for lack of better words, organic kind of growth into something. And although the band isn't a two-piece, it's basically all our friends on different instruments. The band is just me and her, really. We kind of piece it together from different sessions. We did most of it in the Black Country in the West Midlands, where I'm from, and Heather lives near too. I don't live there anymore, but we went back there to just to make this record. And between doing bits in LA, doing bits in New York, doing a lot of it in London as well. We pieced it together over time, probably over like a year, and enjoyed ourselves whilst doing it.
You finally realized there was something there a little more substantial than just some ideas, and it became an album. So did you? Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny because we both work in different musical capacities. I also do tour production as well as play session guitar and produce. And we kept crossing paths, which is one of those things, things keep going full circle. And then strangely, some label buddies of ours who we've known for many years, they signed to the same label, and the label boss kind of was actually, I was bass teching for a fellow called Glenn Hughes, Deep Purple.
Yeah.
So I was his bass tech for a while, and he was on the same label as well. So not only did me and Heather keep crossing paths, but the business people that we're signed to, we kept crossing paths with them too. So eventually, Frontiers, I think, well, I just go make an album.
Seems like you took the hint that it was just bigger than the both of you. There was something going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And we had fun doing it and getting our friends involved as well. There's a lot of like good musicians and good friends on there. So, it was a labour of love and kind of a labour of friendship as well in many ways.
So you're self-produced? You guys put the record together yourselves?
Yes. So we actually did most of it in my parents' cabin house, which is kind of like it's kind of like a pool house, but without a pool, if you can imagine that. And we did most of it in there, but then we did all the vocal and some of the final guitars in a place called Sensible Music in London, which is funny because we went from a cabin house doing it real DIY, real like garage style, to being in Sensible Music. If you're not familiar with it, the main producer there is a guy called John Moon, a good friend of ours, but he's worked with the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and Michael Jackson, but the amount of people that have been to that studio is incredible. And of course, it's littered with platinum discs and things, and it was kind of funny going from one extreme to the other. So we did most of it DIY, but then we completed it and mixed it at Sensible on the polar end of that spectrum.
Certainly good to have some friends right there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
You mentioned that in the PR release, you mentioned, and well here as well, this album is very well traveled as far as taking Los Angeles's vibe and London's vibe and sort of mixing things together. Talk a bit about the synergy and how you brought all these elements into what is now one, the album itself, Redemption.
I think myself and Heather both have a lot of history in the United States as well. So Heather used to live down kind of in the South. I have played and still play with a lot of musicians from LA, some in New York. So as this project was coming together, by default, I was in the States a lot, and I think it influenced the sound. I was touring with other bands, and yeah, just totally influenced by that. And then Heather's influence of being in the south of the state, she always had a bit of a blues gospel love for that, you know, that part of her life, and that really came into the music, you know. And then some of it is just random. I was in New York. If you listen to Witch, the actual guitar of that's on the records is in a hotel room in New York, where I just happened to have I happened to have my friend's guitar with me, and my laptop, and I just put some chords down, ended up with a vocal melody, and we kept the original guitars. So it was a rainy day in New York, and I couldn't go anywhere. There was actually it's weird. I've never experienced this before, but my iPhone had an emergency warning saying there's a flash flood coming. Don't go outside.
Right.
We don't get that here. And so I got this bizarre emergency warning. It was like, okay, I'm going to stay indoors. And whilst this flash flood was, you know, this huge storm came, I was looking out the window playing that song Witch. So strange memory.
It sounds very appropriate. Yeah. Some of the best music comes from, of course, that moment of experience, and it's just the inspiration that happens. And I'm sure watching it all unfold in front of you, and you know, looking out that window is very inspiring.
Well, it's funny because Heather wrote "Something Wicked Is Coming" in that song, and that was unrelated to that storm. She just randomly wrote it. So, you know.
Very exciting. You've mentioned Heather. She has got a great voice for this style of music. It's beautiful. It's very soulful.
Fantastic singer. Amazing.
You must have realized that going in, that her voice as an instrument was something that was profound as far as the sound of your music. Talk about using that voice and writing for it and realizing what you had.
Well, it's funny you asked that, because even between us, I mean, it's her voice, you know, but between us, we did a lot of experimentation with her voice and trying to get the right sounds, because also the process in which we did this was mostly demos between the two of us, and then trying to grow them from there. But of course, with such a powerhouse voice, sometimes the contrast can be weird when you haven't done it together at the same time. So we actually went through hours and hours and days on end, experimenting with different microphones, different velocities, different volumes, kind of thing. Never to take away from our voice, but, you know, so different timbres, I guess you could say. And then we did go to another studio before going to Sensible that, you know, didn't work. It was a big studio, the big live room, vintage mics. We're just like, what wasn't, you know, it wasn't happening for her. She wasn't comfortable. But then when we went to Sensible, it really worked for her, 100%. So as soon as we found that sweet spot, she just went for it. You know, we spent a couple of weeks in there tracking vocal. She was very lucky. Well, we're very lucky because they actually have Elvis Presley's old Fairchild. Well, actually, it's Sun Records. It was the Sun Records Fairchild compressor. It's a hell of a lot of money put into this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so Amy Winehouse did most of her vocals in the same booth, same studio, same microphone. Elvis's compressor through Michael Jackson's microphone. So it was a really not to kind of name drop the equipment, but it was just such incredible equipment that as soon as she sang a note, we're like, that's it, you know.
Some of the fans watching this don't fully realize that there is such a market behind the scenes for some of that legacy equipment, because the sound, it's irreplaceable. It's not just the history of it. That plays a large part of it, but it's also the sound. It's irreplaceable. And once you find that sound, you covet it. You do everything you can to hold on.
Oh, definitely. Literally on that note, the specific Fairchild compressor and preamp we were using hasn't been serviced for years and years and years because of what it is. And if you leave it on for too long, it starts to crackle and hum. But, you know, at that point, you just turn it off, you know. But it's been preserved, it has.
So you've mentioned this. Go ahead.
I was just saying the crackle kind of adds to the record anyway. So
Well, it certainly lends the honesty to it, and that's a very important element in any music, is to have that true connection with the fan and let them realize this really happened. It isn't just something that was put together on a computer.
hmm yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you mentioned this album came together over a period of time. Given COVID, there's not a whole lot of touring or playing live, but I'm curious if any of the songs have seen the light of day. Have you had a chance to demo any back in, a year ago?
We did play them live in the middle of recording the stuff because we used to run some jam nights at a Hard Rock Cafe in London, and many amazing musicians that kind of come and jam every week with us, and we were able to kind of not play official gigs, but we kind of like tester gigs, testing the water, as they say. So we I think we did like 2 where we played some of these songs live just to try them out. But then, of course, all this madness happened and, so long gigs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Did that experience of playing them live, did it evolve the songs at all?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
We actually played them with different musicians who are on the record, but to try and piece them together, it definitely brought a different element. We also did a very short tour, I think 3 years ago, under a different band name, and it was actually Heather's project, which is where we first crossed paths. And I went and played some bass for her, and I think there are some videos online of us playing like 2 of the songs off this album, but completely different vibe.
Now people can go and search those out to give them something to do.
Yeah, exactly. Do some detective work. It's a different band name, so good luck.
They'll find it. Don't underestimate them. They'll find it.
They will.
So what are you looking for as far as the future at 21? That we're hoping, of course, all musicians and all fans are hoping the music opens up again, tours starting. Are you guys hoping to hit the road and, do an honest tour, get out there and let the fans really hear the music?
If we can, I think the best we could hope for is later in the year, hopefully we can at least play some club gigs, because I don't know if you heard, but yesterday in the UK, they started cancelling festivals already. Yeah. So we were already booked for a couple of festivals last summer, which didn't happen. Obviously, that everything gets pushed to next summer. That looks like it's not happening. So let's see. I think all we can hope for is literally some small gigs that, in some capacity. But we might do a couple live stream gigs or something later on. Let's see. But the same as everyone else. What else can you do but hope?
Yeah, here in the States, we've had 2 major waves of cancellations, and I just started seeing some bands hoping to tour toward the end of the year, but it's dicey at best, as you're recognizing.
So yeah, and no one knows the answer. You can speculate all you like, but
you see a tour announcement, and the first thing you think these days is, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, I guess people need the guarantees or the advances. Yeah,
exactly.
Who knows? Yeah,
exactly. That's all the questions I have today. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, album comes out on February 12th. The Run Wild is the single that comes out with the album.
You got a couple singles out already, Redemption, and I want to say Voodoo. There it is, November 16th.
So you can check them out on YouTube. There's a couple of cool videos by our good friend Ian Sepulveda. He's from Santiago. He made us some great visuals, so check them out.
Excellent videos. Well, thank you for your sharing a little time with us today, Rex. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. You too, buddy.